Hey guys, it's Phoenix. On PokeCA, of course doing it for Shockbite, a huge request from a lot of you guys, especially from the live streams when I've been working on this, pertaining to how I install trainers. I've already done a video on how I install Pokemon, but trainers was probably one of the more difficult concepts to master, mainly because it's really hard to get a grip on installing some sort of gridded gameplay mechanic, because you know from Pokemon games you have a grid where the player actually doesn't have this infinite amount of space they can move into, but here I actually need to make sure the player doesn't run past the trainer, which still is a problem, but it's the best we can do. Before I get into this, big announcement, I just uploaded a second channel video where I suck at Google Feud, and it's a game which just irritates your intelligence. Some very disturbing questions that I had to answer. Of course I tried to avoid them, but I really couldn't. Anyway, let's get into this. So 2 days left. October 1st, of course, the big day when we transition into alpha and all the main content story aspects are completed. Can't wait for that to happen. First of all, we need to install an armor stand. So as I walk towards this guy, you can see that there's something that happens. Fanboy Joe, I don't believe you have what it takes. I can just clear my effects for this. Now these are the last 3 trainers. I've already finished installing them, and this means I no longer need to install any mainstream trainers anymore. And by mainstream I mean people that just stand around and stare at you and wait for you to walk past them. Don't need to do those anymore. I just have the Elite Four and the Champion. You can follow me on Twitter and I'll just give you guys big insights on what is remaining. So we have to just summon an armor stand first of all. That's the first step. So we just give them a name and we plan out the party that they plan to have. And then I need to make sure that they have a good clear sight. For instance, if a trainer is standing here, that means their line of sight will just be one block that way. That means they'll be looking from here and here, which also means the player can dodge them. I'm going to try and dodge this guy. I flew over him. You can't fly in this game. You can dodge him by simply moving around the stairs around his line of sight. Okay, so we do have a fill clock, and that means their line of sight is checked 20 times a second. And what we need to check are the following. So first of all, we give the player, when they run into the line of sight, some slowness. That's the first step. So they can't move any further forward, they can't enter a wild battle, they can't collect an item, they can't encounter a different trainer. They're going to be stopped in their tracks. And then we have a test for command, so that outputs the following sequence. So it's going to play that click sound. I can play that. It's always cute to listen to that. Then we have to give them blindness for 1 second, so it looks like they're transitioning into a cutscene. And it's going to play a particle note, so the exclamation mark that appears above their head, above the armor stand. After about a second, execute a dialogue, which is, I don't believe you have what it takes, as you saw from the beginning. And then it's going to reset the armor stand so they don't have the ability to be battled anymore. And then if you click the tell raw command right here, it's going to set block here, and the party is activated. So this is for each individual trainer. We have 1 set per trainer. This is probably the thing that takes the longest. So it has a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to show you guys what they are, what they all are, but we need to determine their party size, the amount of money you win if you win, and this is only if the trainer is important to a cutscene. So we don't need this for any random trainer, so it's just dash dash. We don't need anything there. We just need to make it blank so it stays there and it gets cloned properly. This is a random quote that they say if they lose, just like that one. Name defeated, about to use, sent out at ease, so the next party Pokemon. This is actually going to be pretty redundant if they just have 1 Pokemon. This is just the starting quote, and this is the armor stand that is summoned to the battle arena when you encounter them. So we need to do one for every single trainer, so it's all just tell raw, but it's really quite important that it's different for every trainer. And then lastly, this is what clones it to the correct place, so just into redstone spawn, which is why these numbers are a lot lower, because it's near 0, 0. So then we have to clone, this is quite extensive. So we need to summon armor stands for each Pokemon. So summon armor stand, and then the name of the Pokemon, set their level, and then summon the Wither Boss, which is the health bar. Do that for each Pokemon, so if you have 6, that's why there are 6 little command blocks for each Pokemon, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's really not that complicated anymore, but it was quite complicated to actually get it to work. That's why the testing process was so important. And while beta testing isn't going to be directly related to how the trainer systems work, it's going to be directly related to whether the trainer details are actually inputted properly. So in the end, it's pretty arduous, but That's all the wild Pokemon. This has nothing to do with the trainers. But in the end, it's kind of rewarding to actually have done about 100 trainers in the map, and probably a little bit more, especially with the Elite 4 champion and then the post-game content. So hopefully this gave you guys some insight. Once you download the map, you can see these things in more detail. There's actually a little bit more to it, but hopefully this just gives you a good idea of what we need to do. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more creative content. Thanks for watching. As always, take care.